Hi everyone, this is Tanya from Flying Dog Studio. Thank you so much for joining me as we take a look at Winsor Newton's Watercolor Pencil Studio Collection set. Now, this particular video will cover the Skyscape tones. This set has 5 different curated sets with it. The entire collection does. And if you've missed my other videos, I'll link those down below. And I have some more coming in this. So if you're just now finding me, this is only my second one of doing color mixing on these. As you can see, I have listed the colors down the side and across the top. As I'm going down the side, I'm going to put just a little more pressure on my pencil, and you'll see that here. It's a little bit darker, and then across the top, I'm not going to put as much pressure. This is going to be the lighter version of it. So as I'm going across, going horizontally, I'm going to be putting a lot of pressure on the pencil, and that will be the dominant color. So I'm going across the top there and then bringing those colors down vertically. Those are going to be the non-dominant colors. So I want to see how these colors react with one another, how they mix when they're the dominant color and another color is the non-dominant on top. And I think that'll make more sense. If you've not watched my videos before, I think that'll make more sense once we go along here. The paper that I'm using is a cold press paper. I will link all of these things down below in case you want to check them out for yourself. This is my favorite paper, by the way. And now I'm coming back. Now that I have all the dominant colors down, I'm coloring on top, going down the paper with the same pencils. I'm only putting a little pressure on top. Now, obviously, some of these colors I can already tell are not going to mix well if I keep them as the dominant color. Some of these pencils, and we'll talk about it more at the end, I'm going to have to do more of a 50-50 if I really want to see how the two mix together. But we're going to go ahead and get all of these colored in. And I can tell you, if you haven't watched my previous videos, the unboxing and then the floral tones, and by the way, I'm using the Winsor Newton size 3 watercolor brush here to activate all of the colors and turn them into watercolors. But if you haven't seen those previous videos, I will say these color like butter. They are very soft. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on there. I know it looks like I'm putting a lot of pressure on, but this video was speeded up, so it makes it look like I'm really bearing down hard, even when I'm doing and I'm using air quotes here, lighter colors on there and doing the non-dominant colors. So I am activating these, and you'll notice I'm skipping every other one. That's so that those can dry, and I'm going to do that all the way down. That's so they can dry and not mix with the color next to them. So I'm going to continue this process, and what I'm looking for as I'm activating these is how well the pigments turn into watercolor. Can I still see my pencil lines? Are they mixing well together, or do they separate? I mentioned in a previous video about Derwent ink tints, and those are two completely different animals. I realize that, but it is a water-soluble pencil from Derwent. They are ink-based. They're not regular watercolor pencils, but I do see in some of Derwent's pencils like that are activated by water, I do see some separation of the pigments, and you really have to scrub back and forth and move the pigments around to get them to mix. You do not have to do that with this Winsor & Newton set. So I highly recommend these. If you are on the fence about watercolor pencil, I would take a look at Winsor & Newton's pencils because they are extremely vibrant. Now, the previous set I did was florals, and they were a little more vibrant than the Skyscape, but we do have the magenta and the caramel and the midnight blue and the cornflower blue and the apricot, and those are very vibrant colors. But now that we are getting all of these mixed together, it is time to take a look at what we really think about how these colors mix. As I'm taking a look at the grays, and I'm going to include dusky rose as part of the grays because it's kind of a rose gray, those colors in that little section on the upper left hand side do not mix well together. If you want a true mix with those 4 colors with any of the other colors, you're going to need to apply a little bit more pressure with those and a little less pressure on colors like magenta and caramel and midnight blue, because those are very strong colors. So see, the midnight blue is almost the same thing all the way across. The only time there's some variance in the colors with midnight blue, having that as a dominant color, is when you're looking at the magenta and the caramel. Then you're getting a little bit more of a variation. But do look at the caramel and the apricot. As I was doing this video and activating the colors, I thought, oh my goodness, did I not pick up another pencil? Did I pick up the same pencil? But I did switch the pencils. So that is truly caramel and that's truly apricot, but they're almost the same all the way across. I was kind of shook by that. I even went back to my video and took a look. So if you have these pencils, please let us know in the comments below what your opinion is of them. Now, I'm not sponsored by Winsor Newton. I just happen to love their products. But Winsor Newton, if you're listening, I love you. So again, this is the Skyscape tones. Let us know down below what you think if you have them, or if you have any questions. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe. Welcome to the channel. I will have a picture just with these coming up in the future and some more stuff. But until then, my friends, I will see you in the next one.